On a windswept plain in southern England stands a ring of colossal stones, some taller than a house and heavier than a truck. It was built 5,000 years ago by people with no metal tools, no riding, and no wheels. Some of the stones were hauled from mountains 150 miles away. Who raised these giants, how, and above all, why? It is the most famous ancient mystery on Earth. This is the story of Stonehenge. Welcome to Curio Hour, where we uncover the strange, the unsolved, and the unforgettable. Today's story: Stonehenge. On Salisbury Plain, a wide stretch of open grassland in the county of Wiltshire, England, stands the most famous prehistoric monument in the world. Stonehenge, a great circle of standing stones, instantly recognizable, and yet, even after centuries of study, still wrapped in deep mystery. When people first see it, they are often struck by two things: its age and the sheer size of the stones. This is a monument from the very depths of prehistory. Stonehenge is around 5,000 years old. It was already ancient when the Romans arrived in Britain. It is older than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. When it was built, the people of Britain were in the Stone Age. They had no metal, no riding, no wheels for transport, and yet they created this. And they left us no records, no texts, no names, no explanation of what it was for. The builders are silent. We have only the stones themselves and the clues buried around them. Everything we know, we have pieced together through archaeology, painstakingly reading the ground and the stones for the story they hold. And the first thing that archaeology tells us is that Stonehenge was not built all at once. It was created in stages over a span of around 1,500 years. It evolved across many generations. The Stonehenge we see today is the result of centuries of building, rebuilding, and rearranging by different groups of people. The earliest stage, around 5,000 years ago, was not stone at all. It was a great circular earthwork, a bank and a ditch, dug into the chalk with tools of antler and bone. Within this early enclosure, archaeologists found a ring of pits. And in many of them, they found something solemn: cremated human remains. In fact, Stonehenge is one of the largest known burial grounds of its time in Britain. From its very beginning, it was a place deeply connected to the dead. Centuries later came the next great stage, the one that made Stonehenge famous: the arrival of the giant stones. These were arranged into the iconic shapes we know. A great outer circle of standing stones, capped with horizontal lintels, and inside it, a horseshoe of even larger stone arches. These stone arches, two uprights with a lintel across the top, are called trilithons. The largest one stood over 7 meters tall, a soaring gateway of solid rock. And there are actually two very different kinds of stone at Stonehenge. Understanding them is the key to one of its greatest mysteries. The largest stones are called sarsens. These are immense blocks of hard sandstone, the giants of the monument, some weighing around 25 tons or more. The sarsens came from a source perhaps 15 to 25 miles away. Moving 25-ton stones even that far, with Stone Age technology, is a staggering feat. But it is the smaller stones, called bluestones, that pose the deeper puzzle. They are smaller, only a few tons each, but their origin is astonishing. Geologists have traced the bluestones to a very specific place: the Preseli Hills in West Wales. That is around 150 miles from Stonehenge. Let that sink in. 5,000 years ago, people transported dozens of multi-ton stones across 150 miles of hills, rivers, and forest to this one spot. Why go to such incredible effort to bring these particular stones from so far away when there was plenty of stone closer to hand? It suggests the blue stones held some special, sacred meaning. Some researchers even believe the blue stones may have first formed an earlier stone circle in Wales, which was later dismantled and carried to Salisbury Plain to be raised again. So how did they move these giants? This is one of the great questions, and while we cannot be certain, experiments have shown it is well within human power. The most likely method for the heavy saracens was sheer muscle. Teams of people, perhaps hundreds, hauling the stones on wooden sledges over rollers or greased timber tracks. Modern experiments have shown that with enough people, ropes, and wooden sledges, even very large stones can be moved across land, a few miles at a time. The distant blue stones may have traveled partly by water, floated on rafts along rivers and the coast, then dragged the rest of the way overland. Then came the hardest part: raising the stones upright and lifting the heavy lintels on top of them to create the famous arches. To stand a stone upright, the builders likely dug a pit, slid one end in, and hauled the stone vertical with ropes and levers, then packed the base tight. The lintels may have been raised gradually on wooden platforms, lifted a little at a time, or hauled up earthen ramps, then levered into place atop the uprights. And the joinery is remarkable. The stones were shaped with carved knobs and hollows, like woodworking joints, locking the lintels securely onto the uprights. This was not a rough pile of rocks. It was a carefully engineered structure, designed and shaped with great skill and intention. Which brings us to the deepest question of all. Why? Why did Stone Age people pour generations of effort into building Stonehenge? What was it for? We do not know for certain, but the stones themselves offer a powerful clue, written in the movement of the sun. Because Stonehenge is carefully aligned to the solstices, the longest and shortest days of the year. This is its most famous and certain feature. On the morning of the summer solstice, the sun rises in line with the monument's main axis. And on the winter solstice, the sun sets along that same axis. This was clearly deliberate. Stonehenge is, among other things, a giant marker of the sun's yearly journey, tied to the turning of the seasons. Many believe the winter solstice was the most important. A time to mark the death and rebirth of the year, the turning point from darkness back toward the light. Evidence of great feasts nearby, held in midwinter, suggests people gathered at Stonehenge in huge numbers at this sacred time, traveling from across the land. And given its deep connection to burials and the dead, many see Stonehenge as a great temple of the ancestors. A place linking the living, the dead, the sun, and the cycle of the year. It may have been a place of ceremony, of pilgrimage, of healing, and of communion with the dead and the heavens, all at once. A cathedral of the Stone Age. And who built it? Not primitive savages, but skilled, organized, and deeply spiritual people, capable of extraordinary cooperation across vast distances and many generations. The construction of Stonehenge would have required not just labor, but leadership, planning, shared belief, and the ability to bring great numbers of people together for a common purpose. Recent studies of remains found nearby suggest people and animals traveled to Stonehenge from far across Britain. It was a monument that united a whole island. Far from being the work of an isolated tribe, Stonehenge may have been a great unifying project, a shared sacred center for the scattered peoples of ancient Britain. And yet, for all we have learned, the heart of Stonehenge remains a mystery. We can describe how it was built and guess at why, but we cannot truly enter the minds of its makers. What exact beliefs drove them, what rituals they performed, what they felt as they stood within the great circle, all of that is lost to time. A ring of giants raised by silent hands 5,000 years ago, still standing, still aligned to the sun, still keeping its secrets. Stonehenge.